Hello, and welcome back to session 78 of our Pathfinder campaign. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Uh,
How are you?
good. Yeah, getting ready to get into it, I suppose. So session 78, if everyone's ready, got drinks and all that stuff. Last we left off, the party had just routed Darren Kydus's army after Cyan dealt the killing blow to Darren. And the sky ships, which was led by Sax, who had been called in by Cadell a while back, finally arrived. After defending the dam and making sure Lorandon didn't flood the city, killing thousands, you ended up meeting Morna Wolfstalker in the skyship above, a hero from ages past who had been missing for a while. You had heard about her before from Gideon when you went to his tower before he disappeared. And she told you a story about how she went missing, which was effectively that she was trapped there by Naruzatar. She also told you that Naruzatar... oh, where's my notes gone? Okay, here we go. She also told you that Naruzatar had taken the moniker of Null after ascending to godhood at some point in the last 40 years. Also taking the place of the Trespasser as the defender of the divine gates. The soul gates, sorry. Yeah, and she said basically that the way that the soul gates work, this is paraphrasing, is that there's perhaps a link between the one in the gloom and the one in Adana. And as some part of Naruzatar's plan, he has combined the gloom and Adana so that he can do something with these two soul gates that now are on the same plane. So you learned a bunch of other stuff from her.
I think also wasn't it about like merging? So at the moment, like gods can't interfere with the world itself. Because
yes, yeah.
Only their servants can. Whereas this plan would perhaps allow divine entities, as it was mentioned last session.
Yeah. So effectively, when Fandaren was killed, one of his last acts effectively was to throw up this divine gate to stop any interference, to keep the remaining titans out of Adana, and something to do with that. So you'll learn more about that, I'm sure. She also mentioned that Scrimshaw isn't around anymore, referring to the wooden man that was slumped in the corner, because he uses a fuel called Tarlstones to keep himself energized, and the gloom didn't when they were trapped there have any that they could use to repower him. And then she said when the world merged with the gloom, she suddenly had a psychic link with Sax, who had recently arrived on the continent just in time, and reached out to him, who came and picked her up, and that's why they arrived perhaps a little bit late. But yeah, so then we got to the part where Henning was confronted by High Inquisitor Kesslin, that's his name. So let's just go straight from there then. So standing before Lord Inquisitor Kesslin, as he's just asked Prince Holthisius to hand over Henning. Oh, hang on. Change the music. Prince Holthisius sighs, looking at you all. He turns to Henning and sort of gives you a confident smile after thinking for a second. He says, Lord Inquisitor, Henning Dyer, Army Breaker, is a valuable ally of Lenora. He's not a subject of our land, Adana, and neither is he a subject of Lavar. Is that correct, Henning?
That is correct.
So that being said, I will not deign to lock up an ambassador of the merchant company, sent here to provide aid. Certainly without a warrant issued by merchant Prince Kutaban. He's one of the group who saved the Padrin, who killed the rebel Darren Kydus, and helped scatter the invading forces, as you did too. I suppose you wouldn't accept my authority to imprison you, correct? The Lord Inquisitor, flustered, stammers. No, of course not. The Prince continues. But I will allow a trial. If you agree, we shall present evidence in the Elven way, as you are in Elven lands. The Padron himself will decide, when he's well enough to stand in such a fashion. The Lord Inquisitor looks shocked. He's but a child. He knows nothing of our laws. Your laws, Prince Althisius says. Henning neither parleys in either law, Lenora, or Levar. He turns to you again, Henning. Have you ever sworn an oath to the Tempest brand?
I have not.
Then it is settled. We shall have our trial in a week. Whatever the Padron decides will be considered law. The Lord Inquisitor nods. Then we will present our evidence in 1 week. He then scurries off with the rest of his retinue. Cadell breathes out a sigh of relief. That was close. The prince raises an eyebrow, and he turns to Cadell. However, Cadell Stone Thief, there is already a warrant in the city for your arrest. Are you not a citizen of our lands? Excuse me, Cadell says. Hold him, the prince says, as 2 burly knights go grab him by either arm.
Can I just mention our saviors up there, the guys in the big airships, they wouldn't be here if it weren't for Cadell.
And you would arrest me for a warrant issued by Daeron Kaidos 9 years ago? Cadell says. Without that stone, I wouldn't have been able to discover the gloom and help fight against it. I've done more to save the elves than anyone else.
Anyone else?
The prince says, the warrant is not for that. As he walks up to him.
Well, can we
Go on.
kind of intervene a little bit with him, like put an arm on his shoulder or something as he comes towards him and kind of look at Prince Althisius?
Yeah, a knight nearby sort of puts his hand on your shoulder and says, no, don't.
No. I kind of eye him, like...
What are you going to do?
I'm eyeing him, like hand off.
Make an intimidation check. That'd be diplomacy. I think. Will it? Or yeah, is that right? Hang on. Get my archives of Nethys.
There is an intimidation roll, but there is also diplomacy.
Yeah, intimidation is a thing.
Yeah, do an intimidation check.
I'm gonna legend point this. I used 1 during the whole fight war thing. So 33.
All of Prince Althisius's royal guard unsheath their swords.
Okay. I look at them and I say, you saw me at the wall in the north. You do not want this. I do not wish for any fight here. Cadell here is as much of a hero of this fight as anyone else. He is not to be handled in the same way as Cadell, and I understand your laws, but if it was not for him, there would be no city right now. Not worth ruling anyway.
Prince Althisius goes into Cadell's bag of holding by his waist, and roots around for it for a second as Cadell sort of stands there being held by the guards. After a second or so, Prince Althisius pulls out a large purple gem, which shines with like an arcane light. He says, Cadell Stone Thief, once a thief, always a thief. We have eyewitness accounts of you crawling around the Prophet's tomb during the siege. Now we have you possessing his memory stone. You're mistaken, Cadell says. I did not want to steal it. I was working on a theory. I wanted to read it. The Prophet. The Prince holds up a hand again. Are you doing anything like explicit, Matt?
Well, I'm just kind of like trying to like shield him a little bit, like standing between them. I'm just trying to hear what everyone's saying and like.
Yeah, no. There's 2 guards holding Cadell right now. Like, Prince Althisius isn't doing currently anything that's overtly like harming He's not drawn his sword or anything.
Mm.
He's pulled this stone out, and he says to Cadell, he says, "You hang yourself by your own words." Holding up a hand to you, and just sort of like motioning you to listen. So you do not deny it. Cadell looks to the rest of you. The punishment for looting during a siege of the city is death, Cadell. For abandoning your duty to defend the city in its most dire hour, death. For going against my orders and daring to interfere with Lorandon doing his duties by the dam is death, Cadell.
Respectfully, we went against your orders. You had a plan yourself, no? To blow the whole dam up.
I did not intend to flood the city, the prince says.
Then what was your plan, huh?
It was a fallback, a tool in my arsenal. I intended to threaten destruction of the dam. But Kaidos, through all of your loose lips scried by dark magic, attempted to interfere. If he had taken control and killed Lorandon, the dam would have destroyed our own army before they could reach the palace.
Can I make a perception check?
Yeah.
See if he's just bluffing us at the moment.
No? Go ahead. Yeah. We'll make a roll.
Okay. 28.
Silver Shadow steps forward and says, "It is the truth. Everyone who knew the information had been protected by our anti-scrying magic. No one else knew, except for you, and whoever Cadell told to." Prince Orthisius says, if Daring Kaidos had taken control and killed Lorandon, the dam would have destroyed our own army before they could reach the palace. That sounds like I'm to be your scapegoat, Cadell says. I've changed. I'm not the bad guy.
How public is this currently?
So there's not like citizens around. It's all either high-level military people, like generals and stuff, the royal guards and their own retinue guards, and sort of members of the council and sort of bureaucrats and that sort of thing in the courtyard of the palace.
Can I just
Would I know what a memory stone is? Sorry.
Yeah, you were on the island with where you got trapped on that island early in the campaign, right?
Right.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Okay.
So you looked in memory stones then as well.
So can I just sort of lower my voice a bit and just go, my prince, do you think it might be more befitting to have this conversation somewhere a little more discreet? Anything that you say in front of all these people you might have to stick to. But, you know, discretion is a tool that you might want to keep close.
He turns to you and says, you make no orders of me. Remember who I am. I am indebted to all of you. You saved this city and my own life multiple times. But I will be clear. At the moment, we are at war. Cadell's actions, perhaps born of desperation, threaten the very fabric of what we fight to protect. The Prophet's tomb is sacred, and to violate it, to steal from it, is to invite chaos. What would my people think if I let such a transgression pass?
I hear what you say, but war is a time for pragmatists, not ideologues, no? To discount all of Cadell's positives, his relationships, his understanding of matters far beyond what is going on. As far as I'm concerned, he is one of the only people that understands what is right above us right now that could kill us in a minute. Perhaps it would be more prudent to hold off on anything too drastic, because quite frankly, Cadell is an incredibly useful ally right now.
Yeah, plus, you know, if he weren't on side, right, he'd be out of it. You know, there's no way he was stuck around, right, if he was out to do harm to this city, to these people. I wouldn't be surprised if he could get out of here on his own, like out of and kind of gesturing up to like the sky and stuff, like out of here. Like he stuck around and ultimately he saved the city.
Gadel, would you be willing to hand back the gem?
It's too late now, Prince Odysseus says. Cadell looks at you and says, he's already made his mind up.
I look to Cadell, like, what does his eyes show? Like, what kind of, yeah, what was he?
Make a perception check.
Sure. Okay. Day 5.
Cadell looks at you with a heavy look, and he says to you, the prince has already decided my fate.
You really think that life and reality is just that? Like it is determined and that's it? You have told us far grander tales of getting through things than this.
Prince Odysseus says, all of you step back. Take him to his knees. And
No.
one of the guards kicks Cadell to the ground.
I draw my weapon.
Are any of you going to say anything?
If I
What's the rest
may
of you
make
doing?
Okay, so Anne's going to raise his hand and say, if I may make a suggestion, a punishment is certainly suitable for the crime. However, as my friend Cascus here has mentioned, pragmatism needs to be taken into account. Perhaps imprisonment, where...
So FYI, Prince Odysseus has made his mind up. You can either fight him
Right.
or you can step back.
Can we not try and roll for it, like, at all?
You did roll, and it is clear in their laws that if you go into the prophet's tomb unlawfully, it is death. If you take anything, it is death. Cadell has been found to do almost one of the most heinous crimes and has been caught red-handed. You hear a sort of shouting through the crowd, a woman's voice. Wait, wait! Pushing through, you see Isolde, who's held back by a couple of guards. Cadell! He says, he turns to Isolde and says, you don't need to look at this, Isolde. Look away. He drops to his second knee, and the guards force his head down. Prince Odysseus draws his sword and points it at you, Cascus. Are you going to stop me?
How many windows are in the room?
This isn't a room, this is a courtyard.
Okay.
And you're surrounded by soldiers and sort of guards. And
How many spell slots do I have?
Think how the rest of us are getting away.
Question.
Yeah.
Question. How obvious is it what's happening when Calcifer uses Glimpse of Redemption?
Why aren't you dying?
Because like I believe thematically what essentially happens is that the person like gets like some like feelings of like guilt and doubt and stuff as they're going for the attack.
Okay.
Would I be able to maybe cast a little spell with my blood magic so it doesn't have any components? Just a little one.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, is he going to know that I have, like, essentially just, like, magically protected?
Silver Shadow's around. There's a couple of other priests around. There's a chance. There's certainly a chance that they'll know.
Hold on. When can you take the position of that? Okay. I kind of like. Oh, fuck, do I do this?
The chances are, if you fight right now, you will die.
Can
I'll
I?
just let. I'll
Can
just
I?
let.
Look, I have a plan? Am I allowed to say goodbye?
You can say what you want.
As in maybe give him a little hug?
Oh no, the guards are keeping people away from him at the moment as much as possible. Like you'll have to push through a couple of guards and then sort of, like
Yeah.
I think Cascus is probably the closest. Like he's kind of next to Cadell.
I feel like we don't have much of a choice though. Like, I feel like we've not got much of a choice.
Can I ask?
I don't want to kill all of you.
Can I
So.
ask if I can say goodbye?
Yeah, make a roll. Diplomacy check.
Okay. Not suspicious at all. And I do have the thing that gives me +2 if it's an outrageous request.
What are you saying to him?
I wanted to like cast a spell on him, but I need to touch him to be able to do that.
I assume that's not what
With
you're saying.
blood
so-
magic. Yeah. So there doesn't have any components in it.
What are you casting?
Freedom of movement. If that.
Just bear with me a second.
Oh, the light. Ah, the lights in this room keep running. It's really annoying.
While
But
this
it
is
will
while
cost
this is
me.
happening, I would like to go over to Isolde and just kind of like try and like bury her head in my chest or something so she can't see.
We know that he's Rakshasa, right?
Yeah.
Would we know that that means that he wouldn't actually die if he dies on this plane?
Well, you don't know what his particular situation is.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
You can make a religion check if you want.
Okay. Would
What
it
level is freedom of movement?
4?
Okay.
34 on the religion check.
So I'd say on the religion front, Rakshasa, from what you can glimpse from your readings in the past, which is not much, Rakshasa are always tied to a demon lord. So you're not quite sure what would happen if he's not tied to a demon lord. It doesn't seem like he is. But usually what happens is the demon lord kind of resurrects them.
Right.
And then resurrect them back at their home, whatever.
We have seen Cadell die before, right?
You saw him
off screen.
fight with a bunch of Shadesteel wielders, and you found him in the gloom. So you can just sort of assume that he was sent to the gloom with one of the Shadesteel weapons,
Okay.
Does the blade
rather
look
than slain.
funny at all? Like,
No,
like-
the blade that Prince Aldis is holding out is just a standard elven steel, maybe mithril or something.
Do we have that communication thing with them? Telepathic thing? Or we got rid of that?
The pins.
The pins
think
were
he
from the
was.
Whisper Leaf.
I don't think he has a
No,
pin.
they were from Lorandom, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh,
If
were
he
they?
didn't-
Oh,
okay, I thought he. Okay.
he
Yeah.
doesn't have
Would I
one,
be able
I
to
think.
get
Okay.
close enough to touch him?
Yeah.
I'd like to cast freedom of movement, but I'm gonna use my blood magic, which means I have to take some health point damage to cast it, so it doesn't have any.
Is it like obvious that you're doing magic on him?
Well, is it a subtle spell? Is that what you do?
Yeah, basically, it doesn't have any vertical components,
Yeah.
so I just cast it using my blood.
What's it called?
Let me get it up. Blood component substitutors. It does say you glow the color of your blood.
Ah,
I feel like that'd be pretty sus.
Yeah.
that would be pretty
I
sus.
might give it away.
Yeah. I like that
And
it
you
specifies
crackle
the
with
colour
magical
of the
energy
blood.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
They said you
Okay,
crackle
yeah.
with magical energy.
Yeah, sounds like it's quite explicitly made.
Don't mind me.
It's sort of like if you're using an imbued heart in front of everyone.
Yeah.
That'll be obvious. You can say something to him.
Can I just one last sort of? I know you said he's made up his mind, and I get that, but would I be able to kind of convince him to have a proper public trial instead, maybe?
Prince Althesius, you know that Prince Althesius is authorized, especially during times of war, to commit summary executions.
I know, but would he maybe be convinced to?
It
Please.
sounds like he wouldn't.
Cadell said that Prince Althesius has made up his mind. Prince Althesius, you can tell from Prince Althesius that he, right now, whether that's because he really wants to, or whether because he's got all his army watching him, has decided that he's gonna kill Cadell in front of everyone.
Okay.
You sort of kneel down next to Cadell, and Cadell says, "Look after Isolde. When you get back to Lunarion, look in my drawer. There's a box. Give it to her."
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry, Hanera.
No, that's fine. I sort of want to sort of move away to the sort of back of the crowd a bit.
Okay, you move back. The guards force Cadell's hand down, and suddenly there's a gasp among the crowd. As in a flurried, quick movement, a crack of air shoots out. In one smooth motion, Prince Althesius, flourishing his blade and motioning in a flash of speed, cuts Cadell's head clean off his shoulders. His body slumps to the ground. Isolde jumps forward. No! And sort of trying to break away from you, Counselor. She's definitely not strong enough to beat you. So
Right.
you can just hold it there.
Yeah, sort of trying to shield her from seeing it.
The crowd cheers at Cadell's execution.
I think Joanne wanted to cast something.
I wanted to cast Breath of Life
What's
on him after he's dead. It brings people back to life after they die.
No, he doesn't have a head.
Well, it prevents the
Yeah,
death.
it prevents the. Doesn't prevent the death. It revives them at the moment of their death.
Isn't that just like getting them away?
You're gonna get revived without his head.
He becomes like
I don't
headless Nick.
I just isn't that a death effect? I'm not really getting the vibe of the group.
This
What
isn't.
do you want to do?
This isn't a fight necessarily. Like you can do it, but like if it will just look like a not very clean break, I guess, and then he'll just go and do it. He'll just finish him off.
Right?
So
It would just make the
Right.
death longer and more painful.
Oh, okay, so I can't use the spell.
you can if you want, but that's what I'm saying. That's basically what Prince Althesius is going to do.
I don't really get it. But,
And it might be obvious you're
okay.
casting a spell as well.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he would just keep whacking at him.
It's like, why is
Like
your
Game of
neck
Thrones,
so...
anyway.
I'm
He's
sorry,
doing
guys.
neck day.
Bad things happen sometimes.
He never
it's
missed a
fine.
neck day.
I think it's fine. I think we're just trying to react in a way that would be.
I
Yeah,
don't
nice.
understand
yeah.
what the
Your friend
group
getting
wants
murdered.
to do.
Well,
Heading
I'm
spending it
getting very
happened.
mixed messages.
well, that's okay, Joanne. You don't have to know. Like, you do what you.
We
think
don't all
right.
agree on it.
That's okay. I think we all have totally different views on it anyway. So.
I know,
But you all know the risks that if you were to get involved and stop this from happening, then it's very possible that the guards might.
It seemed fairly clear that like there's a lot of guards in the room, and like I could try and drop a darkness and some kind of repelling blast, but like ultimately, like I don't have many spell slots.
You don't have many allies right now either, so this could potentially cause a big issue as well.
Well, I don't think well, Gaskus doesn't particularly want to be friends with him afterwards anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think I really understand what's happening. But okay. I'll just wait. I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah,
I think
sort
I
of
don't
turn
wanna
away.
watch it. I'll
Okay,
just go.
as you turn away, you hear the sheath of the sword, and as he goes to sort of wipe his blade beforehand, he looks in shock to see that there's no blood on the smooth steel. As you look down at the body, there's no blood, no gore, just a kind of hollow corpse with an ashy black interior, which kind of smokes like an old bonfire, long since almost gone out. What sort of devilry is this? The prince says. You fool! Isolde says. He's the only one who could have saved us from the gloom. I sincerely doubt that, the prince says. He turns to the rest of you. I'll see you in my chambers tomorrow morning. Get some rest. We have much to speak of. He pockets the purple stone and leaves towards the Tower of the Keel, flanked by his guards. The crowd starts to part and go back to what they were doing, entering the palace and sort of raising the banners of victory. As Isolde is kind of left, along, I guess, along with you who are just standing around, by the corpse of Cadell. Tears falling below her greasy, battle-worn hair. Her wails and sobs fill the courtyard. Please, Cadell, come back.
I'm just gonna give her a look after she says "come back," and like slightly raise an eyebrow, sort of gauging for.
Make a perception check.
Yeah, basically trying to gauge for whether she wants to actually bring him back or if that's just sentiment.
I'm gonna throw a cloth over him, his corpse. Just like a nearby.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You drape a cloak over. As a few guards sort of are standing around just watching you. You notice, Henning, that they seem to be more watching you.
Yeah, I imagine they would be.
What did you get on your perception check?
Just 22.
Yeah, she's sort of like just sort of sobbing over the body, saying, "Please, please, Cadell." She turns to you all and says, "Please leave me."
I say, okay, if you want to talk about it, come and see me.
She starts praying.
Okay.
I guess we'll leave.
You sort of hear her whisper under her breath, "Please, my Lord Prophet, bring Cadell back. Return his life to us."
We should go.
Where are you headed?
Do we know who that is?
You probably assume she's referring to Erickson.
Ah.
I'll just like put her, as I go past, just like put a hand on her shoulder. It's like, if you need help, you know where we'll be, probably.
The cloth starts to, I don't know, something seems to happen underneath it.
Right.
Joan's gone.
He's not very well, he said.
Yeah, like something seems to happen underneath the cloth, and you sort of start to see some movement.
Do the guards notice?
Not yet.
Can I like close in a bit just to like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, obscure it? I don't know if that's possible, but
Yeah, you see as you sort of kind of go a bit closer, you see that Cadell's foot has moved a little bit since you last saw it. You're not quite sure that it was Isolde that moved it. Suddenly, smoke starts to pour out from under the blanket, like a sort of white smoke that seems to trail like a mist almost around you. Isolde says. Isolde says, "Lord Prophet, please bring him back. Return him to me."
is everyone else seeing this, or is it just?
Yeah, you're all seeing it.
Okay, good. Because it's like smoke's pretty normal. Sort of. What are you doing?
She says, "This is how he changed before."
Enter the other form.
Please, my Lord Prophet, bring him back.
I
Please,
don't
my
know
Lord.
if it is the right time to do this. It is just going to get him killed again.
Should we
No.
take him somewhere else?
Yeah, it's not like a massive pouring of smoke. It's sort of almost like sort of trailing out from under the cloth at the moment. Like you could sort of drag his body away if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can we
or
do
just like-
that?
just
I'm gonna,
like
very
like-
ceremonially kind of handle it with care, as if we're
Yeah.
just kind of looking after the dead. And if we
Yeah.
feel him like twig at all or like move, I'm gonna like hold him tight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Castor will
is-
just like
is-
properly like
At the other
one
end of the
under,
night.
just like one under the back, one under the knees, sort of.
Yeah. And as you go feel, there seems to be a head under there. It's attached to the
Where a head not. Oh right, attached to the. Okay, I thought you meant like under his back, just a random head. Okay, I'll just try and be subtle about it and just pick up and like somberly start walking away.
Okay, you start making your way, I guess, to just like a back alley part of the palace, somewhere out of the prying eyes, maybe in the gardens. All the soldiers are sort of away from the gardens, and people are focused on other things after the siege. Putting him down on the floor, the smoke seems to be coming out faster and faster and faster. You can take the cloth off if you want.
As long as it's safe to do so, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be. Pulling back the cloth, you don't see Cadell under there. You see what seems to be a human, appearing as an elegant, sharp-featured nobleman with dark, smooth skin, exuding an air of refined sophistication. He's got sort of a jet black hair slicked back, and his eyes are closed, giving off a kind of neutral expression at the moment. Like sort of mist kind of pours off his body as he lies there.
When you said smooth, I was worried you meant completely hairless, and I was like, no. No.
Hmm.
He's tall and slender. He's impeccably dressed in kind of dark silken robes. They've got intricate patterns of gold and crimson on them.
Is he awake?
He doesn't seem to be. He just seems to be sleeping.
Very odd. He seemed to suggest that tell us all that the thing is in the house. Like, this is not him.
Maybe it's not. It's how she said he changed before. Maybe this is a new version of him? Maybe... I don't know, maybe it's a neutral version and what's in the box will get him back.
Oh.
I don't know how this works, I'm just grasping at straws here.
Isolde stands up and says, Cadell? Cadell, is it you? The figure opens his eyes. Just sort of looks up at you. What happened?
You got your head chopped off.
Do they seem to have the same like mannerisms as Cadell?
No, it doesn't seem to be yet. It's hard to tell, obviously, immediately, but he kind of immediately sits up, kind of quickly, with a straight back, and sort of surveys carefully the area around him. Cadell seems a bit chaotic, I guess.
I was going to look to Isolde. It's like, does she look confused?
Is that you, Cadell? He says, in a sense.
Is that innocence or in a sense?
In a sense.
Right.
Cadell is gone, I'm afraid. He sits up and kind of starts to get to his feet. He dusts off his robes. I am Visiri.
Can we have that in writing, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He did say if he ever, Isolde says, Cadell did say that if he ever died, if his true form ever died, he changes.
Huh.
And everything changes.
Like, if he's on our side or not?
Why wouldn't he be?
Well, if everything changes, I don't know how much of him changes.
I am here, you know. Vasiri looks around and says, needless to say, I'm still on your side. He inspects his neck with his thumb, sort of rubbing against it. No scar. He sort of rubs his chin. I might have to grow a beard.
How many
So-
times have you died? I kind of literally scratching my head. Like one arm on my hip and the other kind of scratching my head, just like, what the fuck?
He looks at you and says, thousands, Cascus.
Huh. What was... No, never mind, not the right time. Looks like House was about to say something.
How long had you been Cadell?
How long has it been, Isolde? She says 25 years, maybe? I met him... Well... I first met him in a forest in Adana. He had been crushed by a gully beast. I took him in and cared for him, but he passed away. And then he changed in my spare room. I got him a job on the court. Here, in the city.
Is there some degree of coreness to you? Is there like a core you and the trimmings change, or is it just whole new guy?
He looks you up and down and says, there is very little on the inside.
I don't
I
want
was-
to believe that.
I was cursed to have this life.
By who?
It is a long story and goes back far beyond the rise of Erd.
Is there one name you like to use between the lot of them, or?
My true form, I guess you could call it, the one that was originally bestowed upon me in my curse, the one that stays around, goes by the name Tarash. He only comes out in dire circumstances.
He didn't judge this dire enough. Okay.
If I die quick enough, I can't change.
So this Tarash that we saw you in before, that's not just a different physical form, that's a different personality, a different sense of self.
Self is hard to describe. It is certainly much more instinctive.
For a creature who is thousands of years old, you are incredibly stupid to steal that gem and get caught with it. Kind of anger, moving on to the cycle of anger. You know?
Yeah.
He looks at you and laughs and says, "You're right. My last, I suppose I should say Cadell, was stupid."
But you are not, I mean, it's very convenient, no? This guy.
He sort of looks Isolde up and down and sort of goes up to her and sort of caresses her face with his thumb, wiping away a tear. It's okay. You'll get to know me all over again.
Oh, I see. She kind of looks a little blushed almost. Half a second.
Isolde
How
gives him a
does
big
it-
hug.
Did Isolde look like unsure at all when he said that? Or...
Make a perception check.
Yeah, it kind of feels like
Because-
inheriting a wife. Or
Well,
other thing,
Yeah. 37.
Yeah, she seems nervous.
Hmm.
Science is gonna kind of frown at Calcifer, like uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Oh.
Calcifer's visibly uncomfortable.
What's the plan then? He says.
I do not know, but frankly, I do not want to be around Prince. I'm not going to call him Prince anymore. He doesn't deserve that title.
I have to be
Boy.
around him. I've
Just-
got some business I need to discuss with him.
Do you still have your old
Like-
tricks?
My old tricks.
Yeah.
I can relearn them quickly. My memories are coming back to me already.
You know, you should probably leave the city. It is not safe for you, even like this.
Where should I go?
I do not know.
Lunarian, maybe?
The sky ships are still around. I can pretend like I came on one of them.
You should let them know who you are. We can vouch for you.
That's alright. I'll go meet Morna in a moment. You can come with me if you like.
I think I would like to. Are we allowed to leave this castle? Like,
Yeah, you start to see the lights being turned on, the street lights, the sort of arcane lanterns turned on all across the city. And you start to notice people coming out of their hiding spots. Sort of cheering and sense of elation, I suppose, around the city. Isolde says to you, Prince Horthysius said he wanted to speak to you tomorrow. Please don't let him know.
Of course. I mean, in a way, Cadell is dead, right?
Right. She sort of turns away and she clearly looks sad.
I nudge Calcifer slightly, and then I look at him like.
So,
Like, what the
sorry,
fuck, man?
not great. I'm not great at the consoling thing.
You seem to be doing okay earlier.
She says, I'll see if the inns are about. I'll be in the Sun District if you need me.
Okay.
All right.
Viserys says, I've got some final bits to do in the city. We'll go to Morna first.
Okay.
Sure. Those bits don't
Which-
involve going back for a second run at the. Kind of gesture back towards the courtyard where the orb was brought out.
Oh, well, you're asking him.
Yeah.
He says, my plan does involve seeing what is in that orb. In that memory stone. I suspect that the prophets had similar situations to what we're going through.
Well, before you get any ideas, I'm not stealing it for you.
I'll get it one day. It was foolish of me to do it when there was so much security in the city. If you can convince Prince Horthysius to let you have a look at it, that will be important.
We also need to think about how we're going to get Henning out of this bind. I think it would be safest if your friend was quiet for... Actually, I haven't seen him in a while. How is Vance doing?
Vance is just fine. Absolutely fine. Just not speaking a lot lately. That's all.
Okay. Okay. It's just I know he's prone to flights of fancy, and well, we don't want him causing a scene in the courtroom, so making sure that he's on side would be a priority.
Would be within Vance's interest for me not to lose my head, so I'm sure Vance can stay quiet for this.
Just make sure that he does. I don't want you turning into smoke and then becoming someone different.
Unfortunately, I don't think I possess Viziri, I believe it is now, abilities, so I will probably just bleed out on the floor.
Well, you never know. There's a good time for everything.
I mean, you died once, right?
Yeah, that's true. I haven't died again since, so who knows? Maybe I'm immortal.
It's
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I've never died. I've actually never died.
But, you know, him being who he is, practically worshipped around here. You don't really want him doing anything fucking stupid.
Well, we'll see.
Viserys starts walking towards the courtyard again, where the skyships are still sort of like hovering in the sky above.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
also, Enning, we're gonna need a lawyer, right?
Objection.
Sure.
Did I hear a volunteer, Cascas?
I will think I'll pass on that one. I don't think Cascus is in very good standing, so that's maybe not.
He is a very wise judge of character. Although
Next.
I would play nice with Albisius, I will kill him the first chance I get.
Nyx appears and says, "What's a lawyer?"
Oh,
Do we know what lawyers are?
You do, being from
Okay.
human territories.
Fine. I'm just checking that that's actually like a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be a thing.
No. The elves don't really have lawyers.
I imagine it's someone that laws people, you know? Yeah, over there. I'm gonna lawyer. There
I
we
think-
go.
That is
I think
not
that's a
what
Laura.
That's not what it
Oh.
is at all.
Wait, do you guys not have lawyers? Oh, fucking hell! What kind of shit show is this trial gonna be?
The other problem we've got is this is being done under Elven law. I don't know anything about that.
We'll need to
If
find out.
only we knew an elf who might know about the law.
Do I know anything about Elven law?
Elven law.
Nero might because of
Yeah, I guess. So I guess Anira says that
That was the hint.
that in Elven law, basically, if it's if it's a Padrin trial, you petition the Padrin, and then the Padrin makes a decision.
So I'm boned.
We could hire his mother. Isn't she a friend?
Zadine.
Zadine. Haven't we met her? I thought we had. And not that she's a friend per se, but
Yeah, you've met her before.
Right.
You saved the city a couple of times when she's been here. So.
So you just so.
And you've
here-
saved. I mean, you've saved the Padrin as well. Like they're together now again.
So when you say hire his mother, the way that this might come across might not be very
I don't
good.
mean it. I mean like I mean that we should try and get her on side, no?
Right. Okay. It's just if
going
it comes out
realistically.
that's like, oh yeah, they tried to give his mother a bunch of gold.
No, it's not what I'm saying.
It's like, oh, they tried to bribe.
I do not think it will require much persuasion, to be honest, but it would be good if we can find a way to have them have a conversation about it. Not least because she might be able to at least cement the idea in the patron's mind that you know, Henning's character is of a positive kind, no?
Mike.
Yeah.
When it was said that the Padron himself will make the decision, does he actually mean the Padron or the Regency Council that advises the Padron?
Good question.
So what you assume is probably what's going to happen is that what usually happens in these kind of things, especially, is that the Padron can't be bothered to do it. So then they just puts the Keel in charge, and the de facto Keel at the moment is Prince Sulpicius.
So we need to convince the Padron to give a shit. That's what I'm hearing.
Well,
Yeah, if the
Prince
Padron
Sulpicius is
turns
on
up,
Henning's
then
side, I think.
if the Padron turns up, because even though he's a child, he still has authority. Like he could just start making decisions if he wanted to, but like the Regency Council has sort of like said, no, we'll handle things until you're old enough, you know. So if he decides to turn up and sit in the trial, it'll be his decision.
I doubt the Padron's seeing visitors at the moment.
Yeah, at least for tonight. Like he's just been saved.
Yeah.
But
That
we do
means-
know how to get
yeah,
to the
yeah.
Padron's chambers, right? I'm not saying we should, but we know how to theoretically. Because there's a tunnel, right? And
No, the tunnel goes to the Tower of the Keel, which is
it does,
if you look
you're
at the
right.
map, it actually is outside the main palace.
Okay. My apologies. Okay.
There may be other tunnels.
I also do need to speak to Prince Sulpicius at some point tomorrow, so I will need some time alone with him after the discussion that we have.
Just a quick question, though. I am incredibly angry right now, particularly with that man, and I will try to let my fires dim a little bit, but he is no friend of mine anymore. He is obsessed with his own image.
Certainly is.
I look to and
Here you go.
Don't worry. I just had a cough.
Okay.
Okay.
Viseri, as he's sort of walking along with you, says, I don't blame him. He has to appear strong in front of his men. He is a water fight.
Yeah, that's kind of why I suggested to him try and get somewhere a bit more private. I thought if we could get somewhere where he could exercise his discretion, didn't have to carry through on every little threat he makes.
That runs the risk of looking weak in and of itself. And besides, whether or not he's a friend of ours, he's sadly the one in control.
And he's
so
indebted to you, Nick says.
Exactly. We need to keep him on side.
I am very sorry, but I cannot see past that at the moment.
I understand that, which is why you should probably avoid him while you can.
He might be casting judgment over Enning as well next week, so
Exactly.
all the more
Henning, I
reason.
will promise I will not let him do that on you. I will soon see my own spark. Go beyond. Go to the beyond, maybe. Before
Basically,
that happens.
I'm saying we need to ensure that you don't let your emotions take hold of you and fuck us all over.
And mostly me.
And mostly Henning, but also the rest of us as well, because, you know, I don't also want to find myself in a conflict with someone who can help me with certain things.
You better have some pretty strong cables. I will try to bite my tongue as best I can. It's weird since this magic has overcome me. I feel less wise and pragmatic as I used to be.
I promise you, if there is a safe way in the future to fuck him over in some way, maybe we can look for that. But it will have to be in the future.
I will grow around my sorrows, perhaps, before and deal with it I can. I may not attend all sessions, but I will try my best to be there for you if you need me.
What's Henning's hair style?
Black, slick back.
They're like medium length.
Okay.
Like medium-ish length, slick back. And it's
Yeah.
like jet black.
I'm just gonna like, kind of talk. As soon as we're walking, I'll just sort of like at some point just kind of lean into Henning, be like, if the worst happens next week,
Yes.
do you want to come back?
Do I want to come back? What, to life?
Yeah.
Well, preferably, yes. I mean, I've done it once before. They may as well do it again. What? Why?
All right. If you, it maybe might be good if I hold on to some of your hair for safekeeping.
Okay.
Just in case.
He'll pluck a bit of hair out for you. Here you go.
Just tears a chunk out of it.
Ah! Fuck!
No, I need more than that.
They make it look so easy. They make it look so easy in books. Oh!
Okay. Okay. I'll get some resin for this later. And yeah, he'll put it. He'll find something to put it in
Yeah.
where it's not going to get
Can I,
mixed up.
can I
with
just
other-
say
You got a little
something
like
first?
vial or something.
Can I just say the Casper? I'd like just have a bit of hope that I'm not going to die. So let's just try and remember that. That's the primary objective.
Yeah, sure.
I-
I mean, this ain't a sure deal.
I think we're also forgetting the Tempest brand holy warriors, right? They've got holy mages in there mixed in.
Hmm.
Who's to say they're not aware of this kind of revivifying magic? Maybe they have ways of countering it.
Well, we'll get to that if it comes to it, I suppose.
This,
Nyx
to be clear,
appears.
not
again.
Plan A.
Yeah. So Nick says, it does beg the question. Henning, they said that you murdered someone?
Yeah, I was kind of scared to ask, really.
Where are we now? Are we just walking?
Yeah, you're just heading over to where the skyships are. And...
Perhaps we should talk about this in a more private setting.
Oh, that is exactly what I did not want to hear.
Nick says, it's better if you get your story straight before the trial.
Well, yes, but maybe not right here, walking in the street where everyone can hear.
Oh no, there's barely anyone around.
Maybe in a lead-lined room or something.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're the Tempest brand. They have ears everywhere.
My lawyer has told me not to say anything right now.
I plead the fifth. If that's a thing.
Yeah. Would lawyers'
The
offices
fifth
all be
Pentester law.
would lawyers' offices all be lead-lined?
Yeah, probably in Orthade, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, of course they would be.
Yeah, it's attorney-client privilege, isn't it? All right, so you head over to where the skyships are, and Vasiri starts climbing up the rope ladder. As you reach the decks, you see a lot of the orcs at ease, sort of relaxing, sort of sitting around celebrating the defeat of House Kaidos' army. You see Sax tinkering with some wind chime-looking device on the deck of the ship as he sees you climb up. So anyway, the skyships are mostly descended, so it's not a long climb by any stretch of the imagination. It's about 30 feet high. Sax says, the victors of the hour. Hey, who's this? Who's your friend? Vasiri sort of puts his middle finger up at him and goes down on the deck.
He's still learning his manners.
He drank himself through the entire siege.
Right. Anyway, he goes back to starting to hammer this device, this contraption. Are you going to follow Vasiri down into the deck?
Will do. But just before we go, I just ask him any news or any idea how long before those, and he points up. He says, "I cannot see them. You see, I cannot see 30 feet."
What the?
The monsters, like
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I mean, because I thought they were going to be here pretty damn soon.
Yeah, well, they should start landing tomorrow, I think.
Okay.
So they are close now. You see the sort of swarms having flapped.
That tells me.
Oh yeah,
that.
you don't, but others do. They
Yeah,
sort of block out like large swathes of the skyline, starting to break off into individual groups. You probably estimate like from here, there's probably like, from what you can see on all the way to the horizon, maybe you could guess it's about 10,000. So it's not like a complete massive invading army, but like enough to cause havoc on the roads and just like cut all the different cities off from each other.
Lots of hit and run type deal.
Yeah, like imagine being a traveler going from one city to another and you're just constantly getting attacked by like flying beasts.
Yeah.
So they're not really focusing on the cities. And you also assume that all the army that are running away from the city right now, they're just going to get picked off by them in the wilderness. Probably fight their way back. So Viseri heads down into the deck where you once again enter Morna's kind of study chambers office, where she is halfway through speaking with Viseri. She says, it's always shocking whenever I hear about this. And Viseri says, "You know of my my kind's ways." She says, "Of course I do. I've been following you for years at this point." As you all enter, she nods up at you. "I have been introduced to your new friend."
Yeah.
Old,
So
new,
what was
medium friend.
Did
was
you
it?
know about this? What he can do?
He's a Rakshasa, of course.
was
Now,
it?
that being said, he is a Rakshasa who is not attached to a demon lord, which is very rare.
What was his name
And
when you knew him?
His name when I knew him was Pietro.
Wait, hold on. Vasquez is going to do a check. I mean, he spent a lot of time.
Yeah, society.
In Port Dalron.
Oh, well, if you spent time in Port Dalron, you will know about Pietro.
Yeah, I mean, he's there.
Like he's known as the false merchant, like this kind of tyrannical figure who climbed his way up through Port Dalron, society.
Right.
And yeah, like he completely convinced through some sort of authoritarian way for all of the people of Port Dalron to declare war on like the whole of the Free Cities, and just
Okay.
immediately got wrecked.
So I wrote this in a thing a long time ago, and I said that like some of his like grandparents, like relations, got killed in the Citadel Sin.
Yeah.
During the by that. So.
So yeah, you strongly suspect Morna is talking about Pietro da Accolti.
Okay. Cascus just like walks off. I don't think he does want to do that. He just like or goes sits in the corner or something. Just like keeps very quiet.
Yeah, kind of starts stewing over that.
Yeah. Okay.
Viseri says, 2 lifetimes ago now. Morna says, yes. And unfortunately, it's hard to tell what you're up to. And Viseri says, I've got enemies 1,000 years older than you are, Morna. No one knows what I'm up to.
Do you know what you're up to?
He laughed.
Maybe that's a secret. No one else. If you don't know what you're up to, no one else will.
Exactly.
He says, unfortunately, no matter how much I try, I cannot die. So I make life interesting. Can't blame me for that.
Do you want to?
What else is there? I've retired for 1,000 years. And then I got bored and started again.
Yeah, I mean, well, I probably shouldn't suggest that.
I've been sired by demon spawn for longer than Fandaren was a glint in his mother's eye. But I've come to learn that doing good happens to be better than doing bad. When things are bad for me as well.
I suppose you fuck shit up and you're around for another long time to live with it.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, sometimes people need a figure to unify around, to venerate, to hate. It keeps people unified. You know what I mean?
Is it right if we take a break?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do it. Cool. No worries.
Cool.
We'll come back in 15 minutes then.
All right.
Cool.
See you later.
Hello and welcome back. So just before the break, the party had some issues with Prince Odysseus. Let's put it that way. Where Cadell was unfortunately put to death. However, he soon changed and seemingly formed into a new figure. Visiri, who announced himself as this being one of many changes. He is now effectively a new person. He said to you that he was going to go and speak to Morna after you sort of spoke to him for a while up in the skyship, and that's where we are at the moment. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're still
Mhm.
mid-conversation, I think, with
Yeah.
with Morna and...
Morna says to... Oh, let me just put some different music on. Morna says, well, Visiri, you've made your introductions. Forgive me if I cannot trust you. Visiri nods and says, at the very least, will you vouch for me? Say I came on the ship, so I can remain in the city for a time longer. Morna says, I won't stick my neck out for you. That's alright. If someone asks. Visiri nods and turns to Sebastian and says, I'll see you about.
Try to stay out of trouble, please.
Don't worry. I'll think it out. Properly this time. He leaves through the door.
Can I just catch up with the
Oh yeah,
corridor?
go on. Yeah, you step out through the doorway after him.
Cascus punches him in the face.
All right, he takes it. Yeah. Do you want to roll damage? Or actually, what's your strength model? Are you like punching him full force?
Yeah, like full force.
Yeah.
Like, but
Okay.
there's like a little bit, yeah, like...
Yeah, like you just smack him right across the cheek.
Yeah.
He stumbles back, and says, "Ugh, probably deserved that, didn't I?"
He kind of like swiggles his hand a little bit and says, you know, my great-grandfather was one of the worst human beings I ever met in my life. I, growing up, knew it well, though. He was in the Citadel Sin on a day where a certain merchant went and did his business in Port d'Aron. That was for him. Luckily for you, I was not a particular fan of him, but just remember I stuck my neck out for you. I stuck my neck out for you when the blade was at your throat. I hope you will do the same for us, because you certainly did not for my family and the people I knew.
He rubs his cheek, sort of wipes away a bit of spit on the from the corner of his mouth. I'm sorry, Cascus.
Do I sense, like, genuine whatever?
Yeah, make a perception check.
Because I know that, like, Cadell,
Right.
you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Perception. Yep. 28.
He seems remorseful. There's a sort of glint in his eye that there's always something stirring at the back of his mind.
I think we are even now.
Very well. He gets up and sort of looks towards the doorway and says, I knew a group of people like you once. They always impressed me. You lot, I mean.
I don't say anything back.
We're not enemies, Cascus. We both want what's good for Erd.
I know. We all want what is good for Ed, and frankly, this business in the court, it is a distraction and a waste of time, but I have to have my eye on you now. I know what you can do.
Did you not have your eye on me all the way, all the time that you've known me?
Perhaps.
Or known Cadell even?
Perhaps I did, but it was not personal, and arguably it is not personal with me. As I said, he was a pretty terrible human being. Most of my family are. But they were family. And I would be doing their our line a disservice to ignore that fact, even if my personal relationship with you is different.
I've done a lot of things I regret. And I intend to have more regrets. I have to be fair. A lot of things are regretful.
Yes, I know that feeling well. I have a bad feeling about you, though. I one day you are going to do something incredibly stupid that I may regret ever helping you in the first place. But until then, and until that is clear, I will still try to look out for you.
Thank you.
Now,
He just sort of doffs a cap from his bag of holding, sort of a black tricorn. Turns away to the door and, without hesitating, steps out. Do you join the rest of the group?
yeah, I just kind of like cover my fist maybe because it's probably got blood, like, you know.
Are any of you asking anything to Morna while she sat there? Well, why are you all still standing around? Don't you want to get to work?
What work?
Working out how to deal with this gloom thing.
Yes. That feels important, although I know that some of our group are having to deal with other matters as well.
We do need to prove something before we go. But
Prove something.
it's nothing you need to consider yourself with. Right? Right? I say, looking at Henning.
We do have a fleet of
No.
skyships, by the way.
Those could be potentially useful.
Yeah, although I am thinking, like, so these skyships,
Yes.
if you were to take them up there,
Mm-hmm.
at some point, gravity must, whether it, I don't know if it like flips instantly, or it's like a gradual thing.
It feels, the way I could describe it, from the one time I experienced it, it feels like you're suddenly plunged in water and you're rising to the surface.
That doesn't sound pleasant at
Huh.
all.
The air is thick up there. It feels high up, but almost... Calcifer, you mentioned that you found Dawnweaver at the temple. Dawnweaver? Right? Yeah. She says the temple in which you said you found Dawnweaver.
Yeah, the Whisperleaf lot.
Can you take me there?
Don't see why not.
You mentioned the white tree. It's just good to check it out.
Yeah. Well, you busy?
No. I mean, I intended to put my feet up for the night at least. But in reality, I'm more itching, I guess, to get into the action again. Spent a lot of time foraging from trees. It's not fun. Especially when all the trees are dead.
Alright, let's take a little stroll then.
Do you remember in Ninja Turtles where they could, like, hold their breath for ages? It's sort of like Morna. She could just, like, hold off the wild.
Yeah.
Using her monk powers. You look, as you sort of exit the room along with Morna, she looks down towards Scrimshaw and says, "I'll get you going, buddy." and then leaves with the rest of you. So are you all gonna go over to the temple?
I'm gonna go with, just in case, you know, something comes up and people need backup.
I'll go with it as well.
Cool. As you start to leave the palace, you notice the city kind of returning to life. Everyone sort of gathered on the streets, holding up purple and gold banners in celebration of the army. Soldiers still line the streets, kind of still going house to house, almost kind of inspecting, making sure there's no fleeing soldiers hidden in anyone's abandoned houses. And you do see the occasional prisoner being walked out. However, the prisoners seem to have a look about them, different to when you saw them on the battlefield. It almost seems like they've just kind of woken up and they don't know where they are.
As in, they were Shadesteel wielders who were basically vampires.
No, these are just soldiers who, like, when the army before they scattered or like before they routed, like they had taken over quite a large proportion of the city. So as they fled, like maybe some just stowed away in people's houses, just hiding from the authorities, if they couldn't get through the gates in time or something. So you do see the occasional regular soldier. They sort of look more like peasants. Elves with long matted hair, not neatly arrayed in braids, but more wearing simple clothes, like some sort of linen. But also, yeah, soldiers with their own weaponry. So you make your way through the city, past the chapel and the Sanctuary of Light, and make your way down into the Undercity, where there's still a large throng of guests to the Undercity, those from the Overcity, leaving the Undercity, and they're sort of pouring out into the courtyard outside the tunnel. But you push your way through. You know, a lot of people seeming cheerful, at least that they've survived seemingly the thing for tonight. But as you enter the Undercity, you notice that a lot of people are still camping down there for the night. So all across the rock walkways and in the Undercity, all the citizens are lined up with their camping gear out, maybe like having made a little fire just to cook some things off, sleeping kind of rough, but at least away from the elements down here. Mona says, "It's fantastic. I've never been to a place like this before."
Really? Seems like your kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Not this grand, if you know what I mean. This was hand carved by elves thousands and thousands of years ago. Tens of thousands.
Oh. Yeah.
After the war in the Titans, after Pandaren died, millions of elves across Adana were suddenly stranded, having fought in the war, and some of them built this place.
You must have gone to some pretty impressive places, though, no? What was
Of
the
course, every continent I go to, there's somewhere impressive for sure.
What of Eshmulan? I have never been there.
It is a beautiful continent. It covers as much land as Adana, and it has 20 times the culture. Or cultures, I should say.
I've been to the Golden. He's been to a couple of the Golden Cities, but like not really to like.
Yeah. The Golden Cities, each one of them, all 5, have something different about them. That's something that's so beautiful about human culture, I suppose. That it's so different and diverse.
You're not a little biased there, considering, you know, I say gesturing to Morna's overall humanness.
She says, I don't think it's better or worse. But I prefer, places where I can go a shorter amount of distance and see more, if you know what I mean. Elves are everything they do is longed out. The cities are miles apart, and Not many villages in these regions. I intend to explore it thoroughly. Don't worry. You make your way through the rock passageways over the large ravine throughout the center of the Undercity, and make your way to the temple of the Wisp-Leaf Collective, where it is now ruined, like you saw before, seemingly thousands and thousands of years older than when you last saw it, where it looked like it had been pristinely maintained by those order of hooded monks. Sort of as you enter, Morna marvels at the ancient structure, and you can see her imagination whirring as she reconstructs what it must have looked like before. It is incredible. These are totally different to the temples I'm used to.
Yeah, they're not down here, but it didn't look like this when we came here before. But I guess
what did it look like? It looked just completely, like, maintained.
Yeah, it was pristine.
And did you touch the walls at any point? Did you feel them? Did it seem like an illusion, or was it real?
Huh. Casper's gonna cast his mind back. Did he touch any of the walls and stuff to check if it was real?
Make a perception check.
Oh. That's an actual
You
one.
cast your mind
17.
back, and no events can come to mind of you having been pushed into a wall, or like feeling them or inspecting them for particular irregularities or anything. But I don't know why you would have ever done that in the first place.
Yeah, I was here.
Right. She says, we had always heard the rumors of a lost Adana sect of trespasser worshippers. My own master, Taman, once was raised in Adana underground, and she made her way over to Orthaid, but she could never get back. Before the Dragonwind disappeared 40 years ago, we had no real way of getting to Adana, by sky or by sea. You can leave, but you can never return.
It's correct.
And those brave travellers who made their way across the Regidai steppe to reach Adana to the north, from the north, were often turned back by the elves who lived here. They were very private. But this place, it seems even more ancient than even the temples of Cyril Denath. We always knew that the trespasser was originally an immortal elf, but we knew very little of her life. She points to a mural depicting scenes on the wall, most of which has either been broken or long since faded. And she kind of points out a half-faded figure of a woman, banishing a dark, evil army. I wonder if that's her.
It would make sense, no? It's the temple for the trespasser.
She looks around for a while and makes her way to the center of the main hall, where a broken statue lies crumbled from time before her.
Was it like that when we went there, like the first
No,
time?
it was
Yeah.
properly maintained. You recognized it as the trespasser, or like
Yeah.
it was. So you knew it was a trespasser.
Mm.
But here it kind of lies in the center of the room, demolished. In one hand, a kind of scepter of the sun, and the other a scepter of the moon.
I guess I'll just sort of lead her the way that I went to find the Dawnbreaker.
Okay.
Dawnbreaker?
That's Skyrim.
Yeah,
Dawn
absolutely. It's
Weaver.
Dawn Reaver.
Is it Dawn Weaver or Reaver? Hang on, just.
I've got Dawn Reaver written down,
Are you,
but I
are you
could have
talking
misheard it.
No, don't.
Sorry, I did have it a second ago, but it just.
Moon in the sun.
Let's go Dawnweaver. I think it's Dawnweaver.
Okay, with the W.
Yeah, sorry. I do that, by the way. Sometimes when I say W's, I say R's. I'm afraid. Alright, I just don't want to lose where I am now. Okay. So
What is the significant? Wait, did we mention the sun and the moon thing? Or
yeah,
that-
well, that's
is
just
it what we
something
saw as
that
well?
that's what you saw, and you do see it kind of in her half broken hand, sort of splayed across the room. Like in your mind's eye, you can reconstruct it almost.
Say when he just kind of kicks it, maybe almost like taps it with his foot. What's the deal with the moon and the sun? Important to the trespasser?
The sun is important for life, and the moon represents the other side. The trespasser has her due.
So the gloom is the moon, and the world is the sun.
I think the sun is the sun.
And then
I'm speaking
sun.
in metaphor, no?
then the sun makes the dawn, and this is the dawn weaver. Is this Lance just like a big ass, like a fucking huge knitting needle or something?
There is another weapon,
Sunsetter?
Moonbreaker.
Oh,
Both weapons are rumored to be somewhere in Adana.
what do you know what they do? I mean, I can see what Dawnweaver kind of does, but
Together, they are said to be able to make a weapon. They can be crafted together, and their power together is said to be able to control the soul rifts. The soul, what are they called?
okay.
Soul gates. There you go. You can. The trespasser controlled those weapons. They are her weapons, and they are what she used to turn both gates on and turn both gates off.
Curious that you found one of these swords here, at one of the two gates.
I felt like they'd left it here for me. Honestly, when I came down here before, I thought it was kind of a like, look, we've pissed off, but here's some help. But
Perhaps.
I don't know.
Well, maybe they're just invisible and really quiet. I throw a rock at a random wall.
Hot take, Mona says. But you said they basically disappeared when... Well, they were around when Adana was part of Erd. And now Adana is part of the Gloom. They are no longer here.
Right.
That is my assumption. The question is, where did they go?
What if they are connected to the divine essence of Erd? And have been now separated?
It would make sense, no? There has to be one gate in Adana and in Ortheid, and then one here, so you cannot have two here. But again, where did they go? Did they just appear where they should be in the real world?
Does that
If
mean
so,
they're
where
in
they
the
might be a
queue?
bit wet.
Or maybe it's not. It might not be so much that they've gone; it's that we've gone.
No, no. So there is a copy of Adana just empty, other than these worshippers of the trespasser.
No, the Adana has disappeared, has sunk beneath the ocean, as the prophecy once said.
So these guys might just be in the water right now.
I suppose it would appear that way, right? To any boats that are approaching, they would arrive, and their maps would say, "Here be Adana," and they will find there's nothing but endless miles of open ocean.
That can't be good for the tides, right?
The tides are operated by the forces of elemental magic. I don't know. It's not part of my.
If because the land is blocking all the tides, and then if the land's not there, then the water's going to change, right?
Perhaps it might be consequential. It might be inconsequential, but we have no way of finding out until we're back.
Right. When we do go back, we need to make sure that we're on the coast, so that we see what happens. I'm very curious.
But you haven't mentioned the volcano thing to her, have you?
I think so.
No, I get that. She says, right. Well, I think our first priority is we need to know who we're fighting. Right?
Isn't it null?
I mean, in the gloom, what are we fighting? What are those things coming towards us? And can we glean any information from them?
Nyx might know. I mean, there's the whole Narsamel thing going on.
Nyx, as kind of appearing, kind of half startling Morna, before Morna's like, oh. Nyx appears and says, "Hi, I'm Nyx." She says, "What if the gloom had lots of flying creatures? What if Narsamel's magic transformed them somehow? But it depends if they have riders or not. If they have riders, it will be my population that Narsamel has conscripted. But these riders from the sky, these gloomstalkers, are a threat. For sure, for sure." Morna says, "Perhaps we should try and capture one when they arrive."
That is a good idea, no?
At least we'll know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And if they can talk and give us information.
Yeah, there might just be weirdly fucked up things that just can't talk, or just beasts.
I remember when I was in the gloom, I'd occasionally come across strange kind of humanoid creatures with masks on their faces.
We've seen the same.
We saw a bear once that had, no face. Well, no, we saw two bears without faces.
Whatever's happened to the creatures of the gloom, it is dangerous, potentially.
It's okay. I think if we put our brave faces on, we'll be able to get through it.
You've been there before?
A couple times.
Very well. So you know what I'm talking about, then?
Yeah.
Those creatures, the ones with the masks on their faces, they're very... They will just follow you around. They won't harm you.
The bear tried to kill us.
Any chance the weird little creatures are people? Following your analogy.
Nick says, yeah, I presume they are. They might still be able to communicate, I guess. Oh, it's horrible.
I'm sorry, they must have been maybe people you knew.
As the queen once.
Yes, I knew, yeah.
The population of Nivorlis, it was not huge, right? Those of us who were banished to the gloom are immortal elves, and we lived out our immortal days together. Previously, in the Age of Gods, where if two elves wanted to have a child, they would have to have Fandarin's blessing.
That seems grotesque. If you ask me.
Why do you think I stood against him? Why do you think I was sent to the gloom? No, Naruzuta. He might claim to have some sort of power over this situation, but Narsamel is also a danger. I think, like Daeron Kaidas, Narsamel is following, but isn't necessarily controlled by Naruzuta. He was an advisor to me, and he betrayed me.
Right.
And for that, he will die. I promise you that.
I will be able to take you to Nivorlus if you want to go to the gloom, but I think it will be so well defended that you will have to find some way of sneaking in and then mixing amongst the population, if there is one, or if they're all his servants.
Do you not want to sort these wardens out first?
I think so. Of course. And I think the wardens will be able to give us their blessings. They'll be able to help us with our task. And then there's the issue of Vesh as well. How does this play into it? Naruzuta is controlling Vesh as well? I doubt it. Vesh is as powerful as any god.
Is there any chance that by displacing Narsamel and breaking his hold over the gloom, we could potentially break free the creatures of the land from the curse that befouls them?
Right, she's just going to do a roll. I think maybe.
I mean, I just wonder if it could be a way that we win this war. If we manage to find a way to stop this power that is going to these creatures, we could stop any risk to the people here in a moment. Now, it is a lot to go on a maybe, I agree.
It will take us time to get there, Mona says. If the skyships took, what, 3 days, I think, from when they picked me up to get here?
It is going to take time to get there regardless. But so I don't think that is a problem. Nix, did you have a way to get us there immediately?
I don't have a teleport or anything like that. But you've got that stone, right? I mean, Cadell gave you. Does that work? Have you tried?
Who has the stone?
I think Henning has a stone.
I turn to Henning.
Henning?
Sorry, I'm just muted.
That's right.
Does he still have it?
You were looking through it for a bit, weren't you? And and it sort of started going a bit weird.
I had a shot. I can't remember stone.
You saw some. Oh yeah, like the shard, yeah.
Oh, is that the one that
Okay.
makes you go weird when you touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you have weird vision.
Oh yeah, and you were like being like Gollum over it.
But it was
No.
it was more like a kind of mirror into the gloom. So like you look through it and it sort of reflects back what the gloom is.
And can somebody remind me where we found that?
That was on the 14.
On the volcano island.
No, Cadell gave that to you.
Oh right, big pardon.
Because that was a stone that Cadell originally stole from Daeron Kaidas.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, did you take it out, Henning?
Yeah.
That sounds dodgy.
Yeah, it's
Um,
sit down.
You looking through the shard. It does still seem to work. It is as the light flickers through it. You do see it is like a mirror, and you aren't looking directly like through it. You're actually looking back at yourself. So when that creature just appeared, that gloom creature, when the last time you looked at it, it was actually just you looking right behind you.
Henning,
House. Yes.
what if we try looking, if we tilt that up and look at the sky?
I suppose
do we
it's worth a
see?
try.
I guess maybe
I'll
like go
do
to
that.
the window and point it like diagonally.
Yeah.
Let's try and look at that.
Yeah, looking up at the sky, you see lights across large pedestrianized areas filled with arcane light. All the waterways, the riverways, boats on the ocean, you see their light. And if you really, really tilt it and have a look, you can see the coast, and you can see the city of Lenora. Striking out of the ocean, dug out of the mountains around, and a huge dam.
Wait, sorry, explain that again. I don't think I quite got that.
So the mirror is looking directly upwards.
Yep, towards the gloom, the gloom land.
No, towards
Well, so it would be looking towards the gloom, but because we're essentially
your
looking,
perspective on the moon.
In theory, we're looking down from our position, but
on
however many miles up.
Right. I see.
So you're looking at your own sky, your own land.
I'm with you.
From above.
Yeah.
So it is like a map.
Yeah.
And you can use it as a map.
Yeah.
Which is maybe somewhat useful, especially to see where like potential armies are, like out in the open, and like anywhere there's light and sort of evidence of people. And you see large fires still burning, still raging across the city of Lenora. People obviously still frantically trying to put them out. Because unfortunately, the arcane bombing did knock over some candles.
Can we see the armies that were around the city, like the bad armies? I say bad armies, you know what I mean? Where were they kind of retreating?
You see a lot of you see groups all around, sort of banding together around the city, trying to determine what the hell to do next. Like some, captain somewhere is probably trying to take control. Like, some people are, but as the weight of what's happened kind of dawns on them, that they're not getting in the city, and now they're just out in the open, and there's a whole bunch of these gloom stalkers coming from the sky. There's panic in the fractioning of the armies.
Right.
And a lot of people crowding up to the gates of Lenora, which are now armed by guards, and sort of banging on whatever's left. Trying to get in. Trying to get back into Lenora. So make us your prisoners, please.
Yeah, I imagine the north gate wall's busted, right? Isn't so? Is it busted?
Yeah. It's not busted. The gates were just opened because the Kirax riders went on there. There's like some breaks along the way. So like way up in the mountains and stuff, there are breaks in the walls that are stationed with like a few guards. But that's it. Yeah. Honor says you can get to the gloom using that.
In theory, yeah. Right. So, plan of attack. Order of business. Get this trial shit sorted out. Or, well, either we get the trial shit sorted out here, all above board, legit, and don't burn any bridges.
Yeah.
Or, kind of gestures towards the orb. We start looking at other business.
I have something I need to speak with Holfisius no matter what we do, so I would rather be doing that before immediately teleporting off somewhere.
Once we get there, how about we go see to these wardens, get ourselves in the best position we can be in before we go paying our smell a visit.
Like that idea?
Yeah, Mona says, I guess I would recommend that you finish off whatever business you have here first before we go to the gloom. But I don't know how much business you've racked up.
Just that, it's like a little pop-up. You may want to finish off any...
Baldur's Gate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Finish off any business you have here before moving on to the next area.
Yeah. So she says, we're really not that fussed about when we head off. A lot of these sailors, we still call them, seem happy to have a bit of rest, bit of an R&R, so to speak.
Your weird puppet friend isn't going to suffer any.
No,
Like-
he before I even knew him, he had like laid destroyed, partially destroyed in a tower for like 50 years. And then he was a butler before that. Like, neither destroyed him.
What are you going to do now?
What am I going to do? I'm just going to chill out for a bit. I put a fire on, read some book or something.
I think we weren't thinking like tonight. I think we were thinking like the next few weeks, months.
When we were, are you still in the temple?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we would be. Yeah.
Did you go? Did we actually go down there?
I don't think we
No.
did. No.
No, we didn't. We've just been, we're having a good chinwag.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so she says that was a good chinwag. Maybe let's just go check out where you found where you found Dawnweaver.
Yeah,
I completely
yeah,
forgot what
let's-
you were planning to do. And she was like, "I'm going to go home now," and
It's
Yeah.
like
In my-
it's been
in
a
my
long
head-
day, to be fair.
Yeah, in my head, we were having that conversation on the airship, but no, we're still there. Yeah, so I guess we nipped outside to have a look at the reflection, and then nipped back in.
Yeah.
Okay, so leading her to the bottom of the. So yeah, as you go into the main hall, you obviously saw the statue of the trespasser. And as you lead her to the bottom of the corridor that leads through that kind of half-open doorway that you found Dawnweaver at, she surveys the ancient cave and stares at the pool of water in the center of it, which glistens in the kind of weird kind of. There's a sort of power to this room. Like there's a sort of like arcane power to it. And she says, "I can feel the power of this place. It fills me with a sort of sadness.
Sadness.
Something cut away and longing to return." She sort of moves over to the edge of the pool and looks within it. Are you there? She says to the reflection before her. Calcifer, she says.
Yeah.
Look here. And she points to the water. You see a small vibration in the water. Faint at first. It's easier to see in the torchlight. So small that you could miss it. It's rippling in a kind of pattern. She sort of kneels down and kind of inspects it and says, "I wonder if that's trying to tell us something, or..."
Calcifer's gonna like get out a little notebook and try and ascertain if it's like a pattern, if it's repeating something, if it's a certain, maybe if it's like a code being repeated.
Okay.
Trying to
Make it.
kind of make a note of it.
Make a perception check.
$30.
Just bear with me 2 seconds. All right. Can you make a society check for me?
Ooh, I can try. 26.
You have heard of an ancient Ishmaeli coding language. It seems to repeat in a pattern of long dots and long lines and short dots. It's said to be used by the first writers of language. You're not quite sure you know it, but you can record it, and if you can find someone who might know it.
Did they...
Like one perhaps.
Did...
What language is it?
It's like an ancient Ashmali Morse code.
Would they have spoken common?
It would. Yeah, you would have to translate it from, kind of like the Latin equivalent of common. Well, it would be Ashmali, right? It would be like the traditional religious language and the language of high society. Because there's common Ashmali, which is like from Lavar. It's like Lavari. But obviously the sort of slang and the language and the sort of accent and the kind of everything about the Ashmali language is a bit different.
Yeah.
And it's...
Is this like a English, like American English versus British English? Or way more different?
It's kind of the difference between like Icelandic and Danish.
French and Spanish?
Yeah, something equivalent, right?
Okay, so more like both.
So they're part of the same group, same common ancestry in terms of words and stuff, but they've just gone their separate paths. You know, the idea was that the Ashmali culture split into the golden cities, where and the golden empire, where all the golden cities united and made a huge empire all the way across Khefu and Ashmelon. And then when they broke up, there was a lot of powerful groups all over the place. The ancient language, you probably would know it as... you probably would know it, Calcifer. Like, that's the language that all the clerics and stuff speak.
Okay. Can Morna just read it as is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll hold it up for her. This is what I got.
You Gucci baddie.
Okay, so you collected the pattern, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the pattern. Oh.
Yeah, I just don't know if the monk thing does like a double hop in translation or.
She's sort of like reading out the dots. You can pretty much read it. She can translate it for you, but you translate that.
Okay.
She says, "All right, I'll give you what the translation is." She says it says one thing on repeat, which is collect the ancient hammer to destroy Vesh.
This ancient hammer. Moonbreaker?
I think so. Where is it? And she speaks back into the pond. Do you have any questions, any of you?
Oh shit, I didn't realise this was like a thing. I thought this was just one message on repeat.
Well, the pattern seems to have like stopped after you read it out.
Right.
Will I ever find true love?
What is this?
That'll be a no.
Oh, there were only 2 letters in that response.
Where is the other tree? I mean, we have suspicions, right? But like, we don't know.
Where is the other tree or this tree? Like the tree.
You could ask about this.
Both. Where are the locations of both trees? I guess. But we can do your question first, Sarah. I'm just gonna throw that in there. But
We do know where both trees are.
Well, we think we do. I don't think it was ever confirmed that we think one's at the Hangman, right? I think we think that's one of them, and I think we think that the other one is in the underbit of where we are now, but obviously not now because it's been.
Was the other tree like a hawthorn tree?
I mean, it was kind of like dead, I think. But it might have been. I don't know.
It was very big, and you saw it here in the temple when you went down in that sort of gauntlet trial thing.
Like fought on it.
Yeah,
no,
and you fought on it against these sort of, what were they, bats or something?
John was on about the one in the gloom, but the one that was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever one that bird puts it on is like that, but big.
Yeah.
It's like really
Oh, well, that's what I
spiky.
was asking. Yeah, Hawthorns are spiky.
Yeah. We'll stick with the shrike.
You mentioned birds. That'll get Joanne back into.
Shut up, Richard.
So. Yeah. What was the first question?
Where is the ancient hammer?
Where is the ancient hammer? It's after a little while you translate it again, and it says, "The Garden of Nevorlus." Oh, let me just put some different.
Nevorus.
Nevorlus. Yeah, Nick says, "Oh, that was my city."
Did you remember an ancient hammer in your city?
No, unfortunately.
Where in the garden? How do we get it?
Maybe we have to dig it up. What says?
I'm saying that to the pool.
Oh right, yeah. After you translate the thing that comes back, it just says dig it up.
Question mark.
Yeah, just dig it up because you what?
Work it out.
How will we know where it specifically is in the garden?
It replies, I don't know either.
I don't know.
I just
Somehow
know
I knew
whereabouts.
I'm just a pool of water. Jeez, chill.
Why did you never look for the hammer?
What are you asking that? Or the
Yeah.
trespassers?
Like, why haven't they looked? Like, they have the sword. They had the sword, presumably.
Sword?
Well, I thought they left the sword for you.
Oh, the lance.
The lance, sorry. Is that not the sword?
The
Am I
Well,
being
Dawnweaver.
Dawnweaver.
The pool, yeah, the Dawnweaver's a lance.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
the other hammer is Moonbreaker.
Yeah, that's right. But
Sorry, yeah, what's her name? The trespasser just in the pool basically just said that the hammer is. Wait, what did she just say? Where are we? All right. Yeah. So, what was your? Sorry, just remind me of your question once more.
my question was why they had the lance. Why didn't they look for the hammer? Or did they deliberately want it to be, you know?
The pool of water sort of writes a phrase which explains that in the other. I don't really know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Just a second. Sorry, I'm completely losing my train of thought tonight.
That's right. I do that on a daily basis.
I do that on a secondly basis.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
fair.
can't remember the last time I fought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I'm sorry. I'm completely misunderstanding what your question is.
So I'll just hold on, explain it. So it's our understanding that Calcifer found the lance.
Yeah.
In the Silverleaf Collective's place, right here, where we are, kind of ish.
Yeah, it was literally in this cavern. Yeah.
So our assumption is, it might not be true, is that they left it for him to take, or that they were in possession of it before being moved.
Oh right, no.
And so my question was there basically, noting that this is, if you put the two weapons together, they're extreme powerful, which I'd assume they would know. Why have they not tried to do that before?
Because it comes back saying because this was in the gloom.
Right. So they just couldn't do it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So sort of explains then. She says, "I could always process the spirits, the bodies that flowed through the portal, but I couldn't control that much about it." weapons were able to control a lot more about the portals, the soul gates. And the soul gates is what processes the souls of those who die in this realm.
I see.
She's writing this all down, by the way.
Sure, that's fine.
And says, but if they are combined, they can do a lot, including fixing this mess.
How do we combine them?
She says they should just fit together.
Right. Okay.
They
Hammer
and
and
if you
lance.
get the lance out and inspect it, you see that there's like little grooves and ridges kind of built into the weaponry that like you could almost just slot them both together, almost like a two-handed weapon, sort of like connects in the middle, and you've just got like a thick handle, and then just you've got like a lance on one side and a hammer on the other.
So we don't need to bring it to a secret third place to melt it together.
Says, I don't know. The trespasser says, I have never used it myself.
Why was it made? Why was it a failsafe?
It was made by Fandaren when the soul gates were first created. It was a way to recycle the souls of the mortals who died against the Titans. Souls cost energy, and the more you can recycle them and put them into new life, it is better than just wasting them out into the void. The soul gates were set to that mode when Fandaren died. And in his last act, he put one weapon in the gloom and one weapon in Erd, forever to be separated. And only if those weapons can be unified once more can the soul gates be changed from that mode. It was a failsafe to keep the war going if he died.
You said
But it banished the Titans at the same time. Set up a divine gate.
you said these could be used to recycle souls.
The
How-
gates.
Well, the weapons with the gates. If we
Yes.
reforge this,
Yes.
could we recycle a soul?
Mona looks down and says, only the trespasser can make that decision.
I'll just point to the pool. I'll just like look at the pool. You heard
The
me.
pool vibrates in that pattern again, and it comes back saying, "Your wife?" Question mark.
Yeah.
If you do this, you can have her back.
Right, that's what I like to hear. Well, we
It is
definitely,
the
well, we
only,
def-
it
well,
is the only thing that can save this realm.
well, we're definitely going there now.
Anything in return, or just that's it, our reward?
It
Yes,
is it is a powerful tool, the trespasser says,
Not
and can
absolute.
be misused. The power to harvest souls can make the goodest of intentions heartless.
I do not mean to be crude in the face of what is excellent news, but I am worried that if we reset this thing, then the Titans come back, no? That was what it made it sound. You made it sound like.
You should be able to keep the divine gate going, but also change the soul harvesting procedure. I guess is the best way to describe it. But currently, if these two soul gates are separated from Erd, there's no soul gates on Erd anymore, and there's no divine gate either. Perhaps that is Naruzatar or Null's real motivation.
To make it so that he can come into the mortal realm. That is my understanding as well.
Wait, so it doesn't have
So
to
it-
go through a divine gate. The divine gate just stops things from moving through.
And if he has his sights set on Orthaid, Mona says, and reclaiming Carnea, that's how he would do it.
Why would he even want Carnea? I heard it's a wasteland.
He hates to lose.
I look to Morna. just like, I mean, I'm looking to everyone, but also to Morna. Imagine a wry smile slightly across her face, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And he's going to lose again. But if I'm correct, and I think I know what Gideon's going to do, I think he's been preparing for this his whole life.
Sorry, but yeah, I don't know if it was clear earlier, but I think Gideon died.
And she laughs and says, "Do you know how many times I think I've seen Gideon die?"
Yeah, they say a good wizard can never be really killed if he's prepared.
He's something different, man.
I mean, what if a really good wizard and a good wizard had equal levels of preparation, right? And they both fought each other.
I don't
Then
think
they're
it's,
going to be there a very long time.
I think it's not really a case of big explosions and shields and shit. I think it's a case of, you know, they get blown up and then they wake up somewhere else.
More referring to like
Contingencies.
if they've both had like lots of preparation, who's to say that a wizard can't kill the other one completely?
Yeah.
They've
Anyway,
both been preparing a long time for it, for this rematch.
I mean, we didn't even see him die, right? Like, yeah, that wouldn't count out.
They were also powerful creatures. It would indeed have to be a very powerful wizard to get out of that somehow. I mean, Null was, or Naruzatar, whatever you call him, was trying to get him killed. I mean, he was kind of that too.
Yeah.
Null is also like at the very least close to a god in power level, right?
He opened and managed to harness the energy of an elder box. He is as much a god as Fandaren is.
How'd you get that?
she says, I don't want to talk about that.
Funny. What an
But-
interesting story that would be.
But Gideon, if I know him, and I've known him a long time, he's 5 steps ahead.
And behind. He was a time wizard. No.
Exactly. Hopefully he's done his research with that time device he had.
Hey, if he managed to get that time device working, would he be able to go back in time to when Naruzatar was a baby?
Nice. I've read stories about this. What happens if you go back and kill him as a baby? Then he's got no reason to go back and kill him as a baby because he already died, and then you create a paradox. And like, it depends what kind of time travel system you're going into, because sometimes, and then he just kind of, Calcifer's just going to keep going off into this, like, he just like goes down this rabbit hole of.
Yeah, she says I could tell you so many stories about that time device. Went on a few adventures.
Speaking of, he sent us on a time adventure of our own. Kind of. We went back, and I'm sorry, I am not a historian. I never have been. But we went back to the creation of the first Elder Box. I think that's right.
Did you now?
Indeed, it was very odd. We saw gods and things. I do not know. It
What?
was a pretty beautiful city.
You saw gods?
Well,
What,
we saw a
the
god.
gods?
I think
mean,
so. I mean, Titans. Or I look around.
I mean,
Sikadan.
I met Sikadan
Oh my
in a
goodness.
box.
She says you've probably caused so many paradoxes.
Well, see, I was careful about that. So, like how, I was saying earlier about, like grandfather paradox and all that kind of stuff.
Did anything weird happen? Go on.
He agreed to stay in there so that wouldn't happen.
Huh.
Seems like a pretty sick dude.
He mentioned the soul gates.
And there was another thing. There was this time stone. Gideon was very clear that it needed to be protected, and I think it was touching the time stone was what made us travel back in time in the first place. I do not know where it is, though. At least I do not think so.
So who has the time stone now? Which was, if you remember correctly, it was Cadell and Isolde.
Yeah, they took it from us.
Isolde and what's his name now?
The man who just...
Vasiri.
We'll get there.
I'm gonna have to get used to this.
Yeah.
It's like getting a new DMPC, lol.
I might kill him every 5 sessions, so...
Don't you fucking
A
dare.
whole new name, a whole new personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we considered a few options. We even thought the Savas, us, decoys, all sorts. But we thought it wise perhaps to give it to them for now.
I didn't.
Yeah, Sikadan, he said to find his shield, find the Cyan Darai. The shield should help us fix the soul gate.
And Pandarum was making a whole arsenal.
I don't know about the
said-
science of Nocturai, Mona says.
He said it protects the elves from outside forces. It acknowledged from the Age of Gods. As in the High Tower, north of Akate.
Yeah. So it's up here.
Okay, interesting. Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
got to go
Zoom
there
in,
at
it
some
says
point.
the high tower.
what was the shield called?
The Cyan Darai.
That's the name of the shield.
Yeah.
That's the name of the group in the high tower.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Sounds
he
right,
didn't, I don't think he named the shield.
No.
Okay. Right.
It's just Sikadan's shield, I guess.
Hmm.
Or Sikadan's shield.
Okay.
Alright, let's finish off there then, shall we?
Okay.
And you can have a think about what you want to do next.
Hmm.
And if there's any questions, feel free to give me a message. Oh shit.
Thanks, Mike, as
Alright.
always.
Thanks
Yeah,
so much
thank you
for
for playing. Thank you for bearing with me in brain fart moments.
You have them very rarely, so I don't think you need to be worried about it all.
No, it's fine. Yeah, we did this long enough. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't feel any judgment or anything.
See you
See you
next
later,
week.
Russian spammers.